I've been hustling for too long. It's gonna pay off. It's gonna pay off.
Hello everyone, welcome to the business interview. I'm your host, Jaylan Mobley, aka J-Mob. And I cannot tell you guys, I can't stretch you. Thankful to have our very first guest. He's a trailblazer in the dental field with his remarkable, one-of-a-kind, multi-million-dollar dental creations, seen on some of the most recognizable faces, which I know you guys know who these people are, and I'm going to list them off here. Post Malone, Chris Brown, Offset, Cardi B, OBJ, Shaq, Lil Yachty, The Baby, Devin Haney, Dennis Schroeder, Jordan Clarkson's, Von Miller, and many more. He's also has been named, let me get this straight, the most jacked dentist in the world. Is that right?
Sure.
Okay. And you also competed in the 2023 Masters Olympia contest, and we'll talk about that. But I also want to add too, this was not listed, but I have to say, looking at your Instagram, you're probably the most freshest dentist in the world. You got
right.
me. So everyone, help me welcome Dr. Thomas Connelly, otherwise known as the father of the diamond dentistry.
Thanks, sir.
You. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, man. This is great.
Yes, sir. Before we get into the interview, I just want to give the audience and yourself a quick overview of how this is going to operate. I'll ask you questions focused towards business, not all business. And then at the end, we'll play a game called Quick Biz, just some rapid fire questions. But with that being said, we'll get into the interview. I read that you received your dental training from the Mayo Clinic, the University of Detroit Mercy, Louisiana State University. You also served as a clinical professor at Harvard University Dental School in Boston, and the Columbia School of Dental Medicine in New York City.
Yes, sir.
That's a lot. So take me back to the beginning. What got you interested in the dental field, and what kept you going through all those years of schooling?
You know, it's a question I get asked a lot, and it really goes back to really my childhood and artistic expression. You know, I was really heavy into painting things, blocks, building Legos.
Right.
Always been artistic, always been a little bit different, you know, shaved my head and had just bangs and then did this and dyed my hair and was always wearing different clothing and was just more artistic, really saw things in color, you know? And I went to college, and I can remember I didn't know what I wanted to do, and just kind of belly aching, like I had this business major, and then it was the strangest thing. It was like, dentists, they kind of like make stuff, but it's still medicine, and I'm like, I want to do that. Yeah. Right. And that was kind of it. And it was weird because it wasn't like I researched it or I saw something. It was almost like somebody reached out and put it in my head.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's special.
Yeah, really
that's special. And what would you say kept you going through all those years?
You know, once I got into it, I found it very easy to drill the shapes in the teeth. It was like, that's it. And many people struggled. You have to realize in dentistry, we're working sometimes, first of all, it's a human being, it's very small, it's microscopic. We're talking millimeters, tenths of a millimeter. Right. A lot of times we're working upside down in a mirror. You know, we're looking at a mirror of something in this direction, and so everything's reversed. So from a perceptual ability standpoint, being able to take an object, rotate it, turn it in your head, and then understand where you're working those dimensions, it requires a special mind. Right. And going even to the entrance exam into dental school, there's two portions. They have the didactic, which is science and chemistry and all those, but they have what's called perceptual ability testing. Right. And what they do is they'll have like shapes and then a hole and say which one of these shapes will fit that hole. We have to like move it around in your head, and I scored perfect score on that. Oh shit! And that's how I got into dental school early. I did a 6-year program. Most dental schools are 4 years of undergraduate, 4 years of dental school. Right. And now it's even more, but back then it was 4 and 4. I did 6. Wow. So I had 2. So I don't even have an undergraduate degree. I just have a DDS. Right. But I'm able to see that. So I have a gift from that standpoint. But even so, you know, dentistry, you have what's called restorative dentistry, where you're filling cavities and doing root canals and taking out teeth. You know, in the very beginning, you really do that because you're new. Right. You know, people don't find a new dentist and say, give me veneers. You've never done that. That's a little bit different. It's more complicated. So I got bored real fast and wanted to do the big stuff. Yeah. And my personality was, okay, how do we get there? Right. And how do I get there fast? There's no fast way.
I feel like I've done that so many times. What is the quickest way to get through this shit?
But the quickest way still took me it still took me 20 years. Yeah. That's the quick way. Yeah. But I can remember, you know, I don't think I was out of dental school 3 years where, you know, I'd have somebody come to my office, they wanted to have a full set of veneers, they had no money, and I'm like, let's do it, I'm paying for it. Wow. And I just did it because I wanted to get my hands wet and make mistakes. And I said, listen, I haven't done a lot of these, but I want to learn how to do it. Right. So I'll do it for $1,000 or $2,000 instead of 20, instead of 30 or 40. Right. I'd kick in. How much can you kick in? $5,000. I did it, and I lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot, and a lot. I mean, I can't even tell you how many mistakes I've made. You know, there's literally like a book of, there's a list of 100 mistakes everyone must make, and they cost you a lot of money to make those mistakes.
Right.
Well, I was able to get those out of the way pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
people that were tolerant.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't pay $60,000.
Gotcha.
You know,
Yeah.
listen, I've been doing this 26 years. I still make mistakes.
Right.
And look at people, I'm like, you know, we lost our way.
Yeah.
But let's fix it. And we, you know, it happens in every. I don't care who you are, what you do. You know,
I agree.
sometimes things just don't turn out the way you plan. It happens very infrequently at this level.
Right.
So I'm blessed to have had those experiences. But that's kind of really, you know, how you get into this profession is sacrifice.
Right. No, I agree. And I think you've found a way to create this flair in the dentistry field, which is why they call you. Where did you get the name of the father of the diamond dentistry? Where did that come from?
Rolling Stone magazine.
Rolling Stone magazine. Oh shit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is awesome.
Have I changed the whole profession? No. Have I added a new element to the profession that's new and exciting? 100%.
Right.
Dentists are excited. You know, I've taken a profession that was,
right.
I hate my dentist, the root canals of this, to like, kids are like, Doc, I want to do what you do.
Yeah.
I want to get diamonds in my teeth. I want grills. I want this. It's become this whole new way to express yourself. It's not for everyone.
Right. Because you found a way to incorporate diamonds and metals, right? When did that start? Was that a particular client? Was that just
Post Malone.
Post Malone. So Post Malone was your first client that...
The first client that I put diamond work was Odell Beckham Jr.
Okay.
We did a little cross. He had one that was on his tooth that was done improperly.
Right.
And I said, this isn't done right. You have a cavity around it. Somebody just kind of slapped it on there. It was a good attempt, but it was something that had never really been done.
Right.
I said, let's do it this way. Let's do a veneer. We'll bake it in the middle of it so it's flush and doesn't trap anything. We did that. And then shortly thereafter, you know, Post needed to have his teeth done. And I was able to get in front of him. And with my jeweler, we said, hey, you know, by the way, we're able to do diamonds.
Right.
And his words were, why don't you just make the whole tooth a diamond? And I was like, we haven't really done that. He's like, can you do it? I'm like, yes, we can do it.
We can do it.
My jeweler's like, no, we can't do it. We can't do that.
Right.
So we were very frank with him and said, listen, we don't have the money to do it. You know, we don't have research dollars. Nobody's ever done this. He gave us $1 million.
Holy shit. Wow.
And we literally pissed it away, drilling holes in diamonds in Israel with the Department of Defense laser, and destroyed diamonds like black. The laser just couldn't drill a hole. We couldn't do what we wanted to do. It took us a year.
For some reason, I would have wanted to be there just to see that.
It was just months of drilling, trying to make the diamond the shape we wanted to do it, and the diamond was stubborn. Yeah. Some diamonds would get certain areas that it wouldn't go anymore. It wouldn't disintegrate, or we blasted it so hard that it was black. Right. And we used acids, acid baths, acid scrubs, jets of acid to get the black, to get back to clear. Couldn't do it.
Wow.
And so then we kind of went back to the engineering board. I hired a mechanical engineer and kind of taught him a little bit about dentistry. And we had a different approach. And, you know, without revealing my trade secrets, we came out with a very viable option. So we did that in the laboratory setting, stress tested it, it broke. It popped out. It didn't work. Like, well, what if we do this, this, and this? So we changed it, and it didn't pop out. And it worked. So we tried it harder. We applied 1,000 pounds to it. Didn't pop out. Bam, we did it. So we put 2 in on Post Malone, 6 carats each, custom cut. We bought 18 carat cube from De Beers in Belgium. And we cut them in the shape of teeth. We installed it and kind of changed dentistry. That picture was taken.
Yeah.
And that was in Rolling Stone. That kind of was like
the big blow up. That's awesome. That's an awesome story. I mean, and as I look around here, I can see a bunch of recognizable faces. Without giving a name, if you're willing to share to myself in the audience, what was the cost of your largest project?
Oh, I mean, over $2.5 million.
$2.5 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you ever sit back and be like, man?
Yeah.
Look how.
Well, I mean, the diamonds, but you know, these are. There's 8 custom cut diamonds, D flawless. I mean, the diamonds alone are a big part of that. But yeah, I mean, the smile is just, I'm not kidding you. Like, we can talk all we want. Until you see one of these people in person, it's mind. Wait a second. What do you got there?
Yeah.
Show me. Can you do that again? Show me again. It never gets old. It really is something that you use, because we don't just put diamonds in the teeth, because you have to picture this. What makes a diamond sparkle is the way it's cut.
Right.
It is the depth of the pavilion. So you have the face of a diamond, which is flat, and then we all know what it looks like underneath, right?
Right.
It's a point. This is our pavilion. The deeper that pavilion is, the more the sparkle is.
Gotcha.
So you imagine if I just took a flat diamond and put it on the front of the tooth, it would look like a Coke bottle.
Right.
There's no sparkle.
Right.
There's nothing. These have deeper pavilions than what you put on the finger.
Right.
We purposely cut them with deep pavilions, so that when you look at it, it's like, oh my,
what is that?
What is that in your mouth? Yeah. So it's everybody that gets it absolutely loves it, and everybody. Like, if you look at Post Malone in concert, or any of these guys that have it, it's every time they have that massive screen, you're like, oh my God, that's my work.
Yeah, that's dope.
Pretty cool.
That's dope. And you also mentioned that you had, you covered somebody else's cosmetics to kind of learn the way. So I also read that you guys and your team, you guys handpicked a select few of patients to pay for the cosmetic dentistry, because they, if they are not in a position to pay for it.
Oh, you mean, do we do free work for people?
Well, I had read that every year you guys handpick.
Oh, we do.
A group of patients.
We do.
Who can't
afford it.
Yeah, afford it. So,
of course.
When did that start, and how does it make you feel to do that for those patients?
God, you're hitting on my heartstrings.
No, I mean, because I think that's really awesome.
That is, for us, sometimes more exciting than the diamond work. I'm being a big baby right now. Could you have me a seatful top one of those towels there? It's weird. You love to make people beautiful, right? And you love to do the diamond work, but when you're able to really help somebody and they sit in their chair and they sob, like grown men, like, oh my God, what did you do to me? It's really like, wow. You not only do you change their psyche, but the way they feel about themselves and the way they present themselves, and all the family members that love them, and they end up like losing weight and getting better jobs, and like, I had a text message from a patient like 3 or 4 years ago. I haven't even said his name or thought about him. He said, "Hey, I just wanted to thank you again. You changed my life. I'm married, I got 2 kids, I got a new job, I lost 100 pounds, and I see life totally differently." And it's like, it's something as small as their teeth, but, I'll give you an example. This is a great example. I have a temporary in right now. I take this out, I'm a different person. Like, I literally look like a goofy guy. It's a great example, isn't it?
Yeah.
I had to break my veneer on a walnut shell that was in a trail mix. I bit down and it's cracked, so I had to have it replaced. But people perceive people with bad teeth so differently. Like, you could be bald, you could not have a leg, I don't care, but when you're missing a tooth, you're trash.
Yeah.
People are like, oh God, this guy's dirt, And so the people that we work with, we pick them because we want to do it. People ask, they usually don't get it. We usually have somebody come in here and they're like, okay, I can mortgage my house, or I can do this, or can I pay you over time? I'm like, hold on, let me talk to my guys. So it's usually a group effort. It's like, I'll call up my lab, I'll call up this. We try to keep it on the low down though. We don't like put pictures up and go crazy about it. We just kind of do it and let it slide. I mean, this is the most I've talked about it ever. No,
I think that's amazing if you guys do that.
Yeah, I honestly believe it's part of our success. It's like, it's
come full circle.
It's being a good steward of your talents, it's part of it. It's a balance, I think if you just do that, we don't do that. We just do diamonds, and we just do rappers and football players, and you're a doorman at a hotel, and we rarely are like that. We really treat everybody, and we get phone calls and we get stuff, DMs, and I mean, if I told you I got 1,000, that would be an understatement. People asking for help, and we can't help everybody. But there's something about the people that we pick. It was like meant to be. It's a very strange connection that's made, and it's probably supernatural in some form or fashion. They're meant to be here. I believe that.
Okay, well, I don't mean to go in the other direction here.
Yeah, no, please do. I don't want to. You got me crying like right away.
So at the beginning of your career, you mentioned that you had accidentally placed the wrong veneers on the set of teeth and they bonded, and the only way to get them off is to cut them and redo it again.
Oh, totally.
So obviously, you're very successful. I was looking around the room here. You know, how do you deal with challenges, setbacks, failures throughout your career?
Well, when you're in the middle of placing a set of veneers, you have to realize you got these 10 teeth or how many teeth, and the veneers are all in order. And sometimes you may tip one in 2-switch order.
Right.
And when there's a puddle of cement on there, you can't necessarily see. And some of these bottom teeth, they're very similar. Mm-hmm. And you're in there monkeying around with it, and then you hit the light, you're like, oh no, those two got swapped up. So what you end up doing is you don't make a big deal out of it. Mm-hmm. You finish the other 18, right. You cut those 2 off, you take an impression, you make it temporary, you seat the patient up, and you're like, listen, we're almost done. Mm-hmm. We put 18 in today, we had a little issue with a couple of them, they'll be ready in a week. Mm-hmm. Come back, we put them in. Most people are pretty cool about it, Right. It's, oh, geez, we screwed up. Listen, that's just part of it, It's an honest mistake. And you just kick yourself sometimes because it's such beautiful work. You're like, man, I'm too good to be making these mistakes. But at the end of the day, we're human. And you know what? It's a very easy fix.
Right.
And so if it was brain surgery, geez. Right. But it's not. So I'm very fortunate that in my profession, we're very cosmetically driven. And revisions are part of our profession. And I do a pretty good job of explaining that to patients as well. My consultant that was in here yesterday, pretty cool rapper named Larry June. You may have heard him or not.
Nope.
Pretty cool. It's kind of like an LL Cool J guy.
Okay.
And I tell people, like, listen, we know the pathway if we get to point A to point B, and we do a pretty good job of it. Sometimes we need to do revisions. I want you to know that if we put everything in and you don't like something, we'll go back and revise it. It's part of the care.
Part of it, yeah. So fortune's favors the brave. And I think that's tattooed on your head. So what does that mean to you?
You got to jump in the fire.
You got
to be brave. Nothing happens unless you really take chances. Mm-hmm. If everything was easy, everybody would have it.
Right.
If you say to yourself, let's do these diamond teeth and put them on the most famous man in the world, and hope they don't fall out while he's in the middle of a song.
Right.
A year into it, and 2 years, 3-4 years into it. Yeah. Like, wow, this really works.
It's working. It's working so far. Yeah.
It's working so far. You're like,
fingers crossed.
Yeah, I had the luxury of being able to uninstall them recently, and then we could go back and say, okay, look at what we did, 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
We've gotten better, and it still was very good. And we keep getting better. Nobody can touch us when it comes to this type of work. Right. Nobody has the volume. We've done hundreds and hundreds of these, if not thousands, and we've gotten better and better and better, from the cutting to the setting to how I prep the teeth, to how we take impressions of the teeth.
Right.
What works, what doesn't work. Nobody can come close to us because just nobody's doing the volume. The people that need this or the people that want this type of work, they come here.
Right.
There may be some pretenders that'll go somewhere and try to get it cheap. They end up back here.
Right. Yeah.
Like, the one we spoke about earlier, which we can't mention. There's a guy down in Texas he's a good kid, and I've given him some pointers here and there and helped him out with a couple cases. And he's helped me out with a couple things here and there. Just patients happen to be in the area, but he's tried to do a couple things unsuccessfully, and he just doesn't have the volume that I have.
Right.
So he doesn't have the opportunities.
And I have something to add to that. You said, going to other places and trying to get it cheaper. This is a question more focused towards the audience, because I think now, everybody's going towards cotton, trying to get the veneers and stuff like that. So what is right, what is wrong? We see a lot of the shark teeth. Mm-hmm. We see a lot of the shaving it down. So what is the proper way to actually do the veneers? And should they be traveling down to, off seas somewhere trying to get veneers?
Somewhere south of the border.
Yeah.
I've seen people do their entire mouth for $5,000. Our top veneer is $5,000 a tooth.
Right.
So the only way they're able to do that is with cheaper materials. Mm-hmm. Give you an example. There's plastic composite materials out there that are pennies on the dollar. There's glass lucites, which are extremely inexpensive. It's literally pretty much like a white glass.
So there's
and then you have what we use, which is something called lithium disilicate branded Emax by a German company called Ivoclar. very respected company. The porcelain costs more than gold.
Wow.
You know, so, and it's engineered ceramics. It's not like toilet bowl porcelain. This is stuff that's like space shuttle tile.
Right.
Like you hit it with a hammer, it doesn't break.
Because I never knew that. I was like, porcelain. I'm thinking, okay, porcelain like toilet.
No, this is engineered glass.
Yeah.
This is serious technology that's made in a very specific environment. It reflects light just like tooth enamel if it's used properly. It's just the technology is, the visual technology, the characteristics of the porcelain is so close to human enamel. If you see any of these cases, you have no idea these people have veneers. And that's because of the techniques we use.
Wow. Yeah.
So we tend to draw our patients from other patients. People are like, your smile is beautiful. And they'll be like, yeah, it's actually veneers. Like, no way. Yeah. And they end up here. If you
actually, I don't know if you can tell, but I got it.
I know you do. They're not bad, actually.
Shout out to the Lions, by the way. They're the ones that hooked me up in Charlotte, North Carolina. Black-owned business.
Nice.
They're really good people.
Listen, there's a lot of good people that do good work out there, you know, and there's a lot. I would say the majority of it's bad,
right?
Just based on my experience. The good work I don't see, you know, because they're happy and they stay at their dentist. But I get a lot of bad work in here that we're replacing. And when people are looking for a deal, you get what you get. And I don't understand why people don't understand that. I just don't get it. You know, if I'm going to get my eyeballs replaced or I'm going to get glasses, I want the best glasses I can get. You know, one of the problems I've had with eyeglasses is a lot of eyeglasses are milled in these huge factories, and their quality control is very low. So if you were to take, like, for example, your lenses and test them, they're not perfect.
Right.
You know, and there's very few boutique glass grinding laboratories that make perfect lenses for your eyes. A lot of the commercialized mall places, it's not what you think. And like anything, you know, there's people that can do something at the most perfect level because they're given 3 hours to do it because they're giving $300. And so the guy's getting $10, he's got to do 30 of them because it's low quality. He's got to pump them out. Those are the deals. And so people don't understand that. And most people should be able to extrapolate the data from their current profession. For example, if you're a suit maker or if you work in automotive, if, like, you know, I could really fix this engine if I had an extra 5 hours. But we got to get it out of here. So let's just put that on that and that and that, and it'll work the hell out of here. You know, you clean a house in an hour, you clean a house in 5 hours. It just transfers so much into every profession. If I have, you know, 5 weeks to make a set of veneers, and I can slowly make them layer by layer by layer by layer by layer, and have other cases going on at the same time, or if I'm jammed to get this done in 3 days, and I got to, like, just thick layers, like 3 thick layers of porcelain instead of 20 thin layers. Well, how's a human enamel made? Microscopic layer after layer after layer. So if we can just lay 1/10 of a millimeter of porcelain down and bake it, and then let it cool, and then bake it and let it cool, it's going to look differently than if we have one big blob that we just bake and it's all one color. Whereas we're building characteristics and clears and whites and cracks.
Good things take time.
It takes time.
So this is another question for the audience. You mentioned that one of the most overlooked things in dental hygiene is people don't scrape their tongue.
You don't.
Which, I'll be the first, I don't scrape my tongue. I brush my tongue, which is probably...
You have a pretty smooth tongue.
Well, I do the brush, so I don't know.
Some people, people have different tongues. In the way you can describe it best is carpet. You know, some people have a shag rug tongue. Some people have Berber. You know, Berber's the real tight knit. And Berber tends to be pretty clean. It's easy to clean. You can rinse. But there's a lot of people with shag rugs, and they have terrible breath. And that's usually the source of bad breath. That you get a scraper and you scrape. So many people come in here and look and they're like, oh, geez. I'm going to tell you I have bad breath. Yeah, my wife's telling me I have bad breath all the time. I'm like, go get the scraper. And I scrape it out and I show them this green sludge. They look at me like, I'm going to throw up. What did you just pull out of my tongue? And we scrape it 3 or 4 times. And these people, it changes their lives. It really does, because they don't have bad breath. And like, I can taste my food better. Because it's literally like, it's clogged with dead skin cells, bacteria, food particles. It's just everything. And
I feel
it
like
reeks.
and that's one of the things you never learn. When I go to, like, my local dentist, they don't tell anything you know, about scraping your tongue. So.
We keep about 1,000 of them in there, and we give them out.
Well, I may need to grab one on the way out.
You don't need one. You're pretty good. No, you don't need it. You can just tell by looking. But when you need it, you need it. I mean, it's something. And most people, once they see it, fast adopters. Like, I need 5 of those, and they're done. They scrape every day for the rest of their life because they see that. You see it.
Yeah.
What is that? It's like pus.
Okay.
It's disgusting.
Well, again, I'm going to keep saying this because I think this is awesome. As I keep look around the room, I see nothing but success. Everything that you've done. So a lot of people are following your story on social media. What advice do you have to other cosmetic dentists that are looking to come up behind you?
Not even just cosmetic dentists. I mean, just no matter what profession you're at, is you need obviously you need to have goals, right? We all have goals, whether it's career goals, family goals, personal goals, financial goals, but get it,
right?
And you can't be so short-sighted. I can remember, we do a little course here where we'll bring people in, they spend the day with me, and I tell people, okay, do it for free. People are like, what? What do you mean, what? You've never done a 20 veneer case. You don't deserve $50,000 for the case.
Right.
You don't know what you're doing. And it takes you all day long because you don't know your way around that. And it's such a strange concept to them. Like, do it for free, bro. There's no pressure.
Right, yeah.
They're like, do what you got to do, man. I don't care if I'm sitting in the chair all day long. I'll give this shit for free. And what a great learning environment. You have literally the and these younger kids, it's a different breed. Like, there's no such thing as sacrifice.
I think Ice Cube said it best. He was like, don't go into starting a business if you don't plan on making money within 5 years. Meaning that if you're not willing to sacrifice along the way, don't even try it.
It's true. I mean, you got to reinvest the money back into the business, do stuff for free. I mean, especially if you want to have a clientele like this. Right. I mean, the first way you do that is like, hey, let's get the manager in here. And let's do his teeth. And then he's also the manager around the artist here is like, what's up, manager? Your teeth look amazing. Dr. Connelly did it. You should go see him. Bam. Bam. Like getting in front of people. We still are strategic to this day. Have somebody come in here and I'm like, where are you? And we, so-and-so. He says, yeah, okay. Let's do a deal. What can we do here? So, we're negotiators, we're strategic and sometimes so somebody may come in here and they'll say, I want a full set of veneers. It's going to be $60,000. And then I find out who they are and I'm like, I want to do a diamond on one of your teeth. Or I want to do something little. I'm going to waive the fee. I'm like, that's great. Yeah. Because I want people to see that diamond. Yeah. It's like, where'd you get that? And it's weird. It's all of a sudden like 3 years later, bam, phone call rings. It's so-and-so's ready. Else. Yeah. They saw so-and-so out. They saw his diamond. And I saw him out. I love that diamond. I want you to do my veneers and do a couple diamonds. And so, it could take 5 years for that boomerang to come back. Exactly. But it seems that 100% of the time, that thing's coming back.
It's coming back.
Yeah. And we laugh about it sometimes because, I can remember Leslie because, oh, what about so-and-so that never came back? And, a year later, I'm like, bam, there it is.
There it is. You just got to be patient.
Just got to be patient. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
This is and the nice thing about when you're doing this for 26 years is, you may have a month where you do, 20 consultations and 5 people book and 15 people don't book. But guess what? Those 15 people trickle in over the next 5 years. So you're like, oh, guess who just called today? So-and-so booked. Oh, guess who called today? So it's you get this backlog. It's like this constant influx of new work. Because I don't have repetitive business. I'm not a consumable. Right. You do some of these veneers, we do good work. It's lasts 35 years. They're gone. It's over, Yeah. So, we're constantly building the business. I'm fortunate enough now that I don't really have to do much. It kind of builds itself, thank God.
But you took that time to do that.
It took a lot of work. It took a while to get here. It took a long time to get here. It hasn't been easy. I mean, I go back. I go back. 8 years ago, I was living in an apartment. I'm just 8 years ago. I lived in a little apartment. I remember looking at I pulled the spreadsheet out. I had to find an old photo of a patient. I pulled an old spreadsheet. It was like, need $1,300 to make it out of the month. Wow. That was 8 or 9 years ago. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, no. Yeah, wow.
Oh my God, $1,300. Yeah. That's a riot. So wow. You just keep plugging away and plugging away and plugging away. And now I probably have the most exciting, if not the most exciting dental practice in the world. Right. Exciting meaning we're doing fun things. We're doing things that are being seen. We're promoting dentistry to the world in a different manner. We're innovative. We do great financially. We do good, clean work, good, honest business.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, people may pay $2 million, but guess what? They're getting it.
Right.
They're getting $2 million worth of work. They're literally like, oh my goodness, I just bought 5 Ferraris. And it feels like that. So they don't feel like they got ripped off.
Right. I mean, and you can see the work. It's almost, you can't, I don't think you can put a price on what you do.
So it's you know, we get funny requests from you. Hey, can I bring my own diamonds? No, no, you can't. Can you bring your own diamonds to Tiffany? That's not the settlement Tiffany setting. No, there's too much work involved. The cutting process, that people have to make money along the way.
Right.
And people are looking to try to eliminate some of the profit in there. And like, what makes this system work is that everybody's getting paid from A to Z.
Right.
If I take one of those people out of the equation, nobody wants to do their work.
Right.
Everybody wants to get paid.
Yeah.
I tell the people all the time, you know, we had a famous, I don't say famous, but I would say washed up rapper that hasn't done anything in like 15 years reach out to us, tell us everything he wanted to have done, all the tattoos he wanted to do, exactly what he wanted, asked us for a quote, gave him a quote. He goes, I've never paid for dentistry or tattoo work in my life, and that's my expectation. And I said, well, then you're at the wrong place.
Right.
Because we don't work that way.
Yeah.
Best of luck. Who in their right mind would think that people would do this type of work for free?
Yeah.
I just, it's beyond me. Beyond me. The most
I guess they may think it's a status thing. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Those are the people those are our customers.
Right. Yeah.
And this guy isn't even on that same level.
Yeah.
So it's a very strange perception.
Well, he learned.
And I don't want people. When I take an Uber, right? I tip the guy. I want these people deserve to make money.
Right.
Everybody deserves to get paid. You know, I don't want the best price. I don't. I want you to feel comfortable doing the work, and I want you to feel accomplished and that you got paid. And it's how it should be everywhere.
Right.
And there's no negotiating in this office. We do no negotiating.
Right.
So we had a case recently that it was really strange, the phasing of it, because it usually doesn't happen this way. But we actually had prepared the teeth without payment. And that doesn't happen. We usually collect payment before we start. But there was a wire that was promised. It didn't show. And then I was traveling and things got moved around. And all of a sudden the person's in my chair, a very wealthy, prominent person, and we don't have payment. And so we started the work. They said they'd wire us the next day. Well, like a week went by and we didn't gotten wired. And they asked if they could jump on a call. They wanted to negotiate the price and said, "Oh man, all right. I don't think you understand how this works.
Right.
I'm happy to make 4 porcelain crowns, and you know, you don't have to pay."
Wow.
And it was like they wanted to negotiate. We
that sounded like something they were planning about.
We went back and forth for a couple of weeks. Wow. We didn't even start the case. Just sat on my desk. I said, "We're throw it away." Yeah. We don't work that way.
Right.
You know, I have people that have families that are educated, that are skilled craftsmen, and we've spent a long time developing these procedures, and my guys are getting paid.
Right.
Every single one of them. And we'll do no work before we do this kind of work. And I think that more people in the business world need to adopt that.
Right.
I don't care if you're a physician or if you're making bread or if you're selling lawn services. You know, hey, can you do it for 10? No.
Right.
No, the price is 20.
The price is the price, right? You don't go to these major stores and ask for a discount. You pay the price.
Yeah. Some people like to negotiate. We don't do that. And I could encourage a lot of people, stand your ground.
Yeah.
I love this drawing. People are like, hey, can you do it? It's a picture of a horse. Have you seen this?
I have not.
Like the horse is beautifully drawn, like the head of it. It's perfect. And the back of it looks like a 2-year-old drew it. It's like, can you do it for a discount? The rest of this for discount? He said, sure. And it's just the stick figure. It is what it is.
Yeah, right.
So most of the people that are patients here want to get paid in their profession. If they're athletes, if they're songwriters, if they're vocalists, they don't work for cheap.
Yeah, right.
Maybe in the beginning of their career they did, but in the prime of their career, they don't get out of bed. They don't get out of bed for $100,000.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And so, I don't think it's me being a snob. I think it's me just holding my ground. I'm 51 years old. This is the point in my life where we get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and you earn every cent. I mean, you
earn every cent. We track these cases from A to Z. We warranty it. We fly all over the country doing stuff for people. And we're innovators. So
Yeah. And so at the beginning, I listed off some names. So I'm going to list them again. Post Malone, Chris Brown, Offset, Cardi B, OBJ, Shaq, Lil Yachty, The Baby, Devin Haney, Dennis Schroeder, Jordan Clarkson's Von Miller. That's probably a tons of many more.
Many more.
But who was your first celebrity? I think it was Post Malone that you worked with, and who have you enjoyed working with the most?
First celebrity? I mean, it goes all the way back to 2009,
oh, wow.
8, 7. Joanna Krupa. You may not even know that name.
I don't know that name.
But there was a show called Dance with the Stars that came out. It's been on TV now for 15 years. But it was season 1. And she was in second, Derek Huff and her. It was the biggest show in the world.
Right.
And she was so famous because she was this beautiful blonde model. And she came to me for cosmetic work. Right. And she was on the #1 show in the world, Dancing with the Stars. It was all over the press. Dr. Connelly, seeing Joanna Krupa. I was practicing in New York at the time, and that was a big deal, you know. And then there was the Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump, and Hope Dvoracek, who's the Playboy Playmate of the Year, came to me. So it started with models. Then there was Victoria's Secret models. And then one of the Victoria's Secret models had a boyfriend who was a baseball player. And then it was a football player. Then it was his friends. And then it was another football player. Right. And then all of a sudden it was a bunch of football guys. And there was less models. Then it was football. Then it was a rapper. And then there was another rapper. Right, singer. Then it was football. Then it was basketball. And then it's baseball. And it just kind of grows because people see each other like, what you got? Right. What you got? I'm going to get that. Who did it? And it just kind of grows like that. And, you know, all of a sudden, you know, that's like, 15 years ago, it turns into this monster. Because you become good at it, and you become really good at working on those people and dealing with their lives and their pressures and their schedules. We're very flexible here. I'll start a case at midnight on a Sunday if I have to. Right. You know, I mean, I can tell you football players flying in after a game, after a Sunday game, because they want to get something done. They have Monday off.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Good blue Monday.
Like, game ends at 4, I'm jumping on the jet at 6. I'll be there at midnight, boom, we'll do the work. Right. And they take Monday off. They're back in practice on Tuesday. Yeah.
And who have you enjoyed working with the most?
Oh man, it's so hard to pick one person.
I know,
because you know, like, you know, I spent so much time with Offset.
Oh really?
And because he did the show, the pilot. Okay. And he's so smart. And that you wouldn't pick it. He's just got a very high IQ. So I found him very interesting. Like, he called me out on certain things. Like, you can't do that, Dr. Connelly. You're a doctor. Like, okay. Right. Like, yeah, he surprised me. But, you know, of course, Post Malone is like my brother, you know, and Odell is such a big part of my business. And, like, Shaq, like, I'm part of Shaq's inner circle. Like, he's my bro.
Yeah, I saw y'all saying that y'all was on the stage together.
Yeah, like, something. Yeah, it's just like, and like Gunna, you know, Gunna's been through a lot of stuff, and like, we're here, we're with him, we feel like we're part of his team. It's because we just did some beautiful diamond work on Gunna. The Baby, you know, he came to me in the beginning, and he got canceled. He pulled it together, and you know, I've just seen so many of these guys. It's just like I've living their lives with them, and I'm just a dentist. Right. Like, I'm just a dentist, but you develop a rapport.
A very good, successful one.
Well, it's you know, I guess I'm kind of on that level, you know. I'm easy to talk to, and so it's not just a dentist. It's an acquaintanceship. It's a mild friendship. I mean, I'm not, you know, they're not inviting me to the birthday parties, you know, but like when I see them, like a couple of times, you're like, "What's up?" You know, it's. I saw Posty in Nashville. It was like the hugest hug.
Right. And so when they come, it's not just work; it's relationship.
We spent an hour talking before we even start. We booked the whole day. I mean, we don't rack them and stack them here, you know, like, you know, Gunna was in the end of the day for something that probably took me 30 minutes. We had a 2-hour appointment because we know we're going to talk, you know, so, but we're not in a hurry, you know, we don't run a business like that. Boom, 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 boom,
and I felt the same way, the way we were, you know, greeted, and when you showed up, it's just like a family environment.
Very family. You know, it's very small. It's me, my assistant is a dentist, Dr. Cars. We have a nurse, Daisy, and Leslie. That's it. There's 4 of us. You know, in my New York practice, I have Regina. She's been with me for a long time. But, you know, she does other stuff when I'm not there. But when I'm there, she's always there. So it's a very small group of people that have always been together that are well paid, extremely skilled, highly intelligent, and they all care. Right. We don't have anybody that doesn't care. Right. You know? These people are like, You know, we have a Spanish guy, famous Spanish singer, Nodal. Cristian Nodal, he's huge, Mexican mariachi singer, and he had some issues, and he's in Spain, and we're like, how do we figure this out? We got to figure this out. What do we call it? Like, and my staff, you know, it's the middle of the night on a Monday night. We're figuring it out. They're not like, I'm not working. I'm not supposed to be working. I don't get any of that nonsense here. We're always working.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I love that. I love that, and I think that's hard for people to find. Like for myself, I'm trying to start a business. Find out who I can trust, who's going to be with me to the end,
right,
and I'm sure I'm going to experience that along the way, where people are going to drop off.
I mean, the best advice I can tell you is pay your employees like they're your partners. They will bleed for you if you find the right people, but you have to reward them.
Right.
You know, when somebody comes in here, we have a very stressful situation where we have to get something done and we have to work weird hours. For me to throw a $10,000 bonus at every single one of them, like randomly, out of the blue, they're like, we do. I mean, I probably do that 4 or 5 times a year.
And do you have any family or friends that work for you as well?
No.
Do you believe in that?
Geez, I have 5 kids. Who knows? You know, if they want to be a dentist, sure. You know, my brother, in fact, my younger brother, his oldest daughter said she wants to be a dentist and she's getting ready to go to college. I'm like, all right, send her my way. Yeah.
So, I teach right now cybersecurity at Marshall University, and I read that you were a clinical professor. So, how has that influenced your current practice, would you say? Because I guess I know as well, learning something and teaching something are 2 separate things.
Well, you learn real fast in a university setting that those who teach don't do. You ever heard that saying? Yeah. And so as a part-time clinical instructor, you bring a lot of value into that teaching setting because you have real life experience. Right. Doing 20 veneers, they don't do that in dental school. So when a patient comes in and they're the student's treatment plan, I'm like, why don't we do 20 veneers? And the patient's like, okay. The dental student's like, can we do that here? Like, they want it. Yeah. I'll help you do it. And all of a sudden the senior instructor's like, how did he sell a 20 veneer case to a patient and they're dropping 30 grand at Harvard? It's a little bit cheaper, or $40,000. Why wasn't that given it to the clinical staff? Right. Or like the clinical. So like the teachers that all teach there, they have they also have a little practice on the side where they get to make extra money.
Right. Because I'm going to say I went through something like that myself where it was close, but I had to do a disclosure form where, because I was working at a university, doing something on the side, they wanted to make sure because they wanted 40% cut. So I had to be careful about that.
So what was happening was like the dental students I would use my skills to help these dentists do this work. And also there's these rumblings. Why are these dental students doing these cases and it's not going to the faculty practice? And I'm like, well, we sold it. It's our patient, you know, and it created a little bit of animosity. And like, you can't do that anymore, Dr. Connelly. I'm like, I'm out of here. So I didn't leave on good terms. I quit. Gotcha. I was there for a few years, and I just found the whole bureaucracy to be a little. It was just a little strange. Right. It was. I really wanted to teach these kids, and they loved it. I'm like, oh no, let's do that. You need one. You don't need one. You need 4 crowns. Do all 4 in a row. Do them at once. And the patient's like, yeah, let's do them all at once. Right. I don't want to come back 9 million times. Yeah. And the students were like, wait, we can do 4 at once? I'm like, yes, that's how it's done in the real world. Right. But like previous instructors, like, let's just do 1 at a time. Yeah. Like, you're never going to do 1 at a time in your real practice. People don't do that. And so I just kind of at one point was like, you know what? You guys do it your way. I'll do it my way.
So you don't think it's kind of influenced what you do now? Or like amplify the way you do your practice now?
No, I mean, the reason you even do something like that in the beginning is to build credibility with your patient base. Gotcha. I'm an instructor at Harvard. I have the Harvard seal. And of course it works because they don't just let anybody in there. You got to go through a screening and interview process. You have to be competent. And very similar with Columbia University, same thing. I was practicing in Boston at the time. I went to New York. I was at Columbia for a couple of years. It kind of turned into the same situation. Right. Columbia was actually a little bit more lenient, to be honest with you. They were pretty cool about it. Yeah. Me leaving Columbia was more along the lines of I just got too busy. Yeah. It was kind of like, they can't fit this in my schedule anymore. I need this time. Yeah. But my time at Columbia was a little bit more real. I felt like as a university, they were very interested in learning. They were very intrigued with what we were doing, what I was able to do and teach them. And even the faculty had a little bit of humility. To like, hey, what are you doing over here? I love that. I love that style. I love how you're doing that. And so I think that was a better experience for me.
And so we mentioned in the beginning that you were named kind of the most jacked dentist in the world. When did you get into bodybuilding?
So I was a bodybuilder as a teenager, 17, 18, 19, 20, when I lived in Michigan. Did some novice and some junior shows, and, you know, really have always worked out. And even through dental school and practicing, I may have gotten away from it, but I never got too far away from working out. I was always lifting heavy weights and flexing in front of the mirror like a goof, and, you know, just intrigued with that whole industry.
And to add, you competed in Mr. Olympia, which is pretty.
I did the Masters Mr. Olympia in Romania just a couple months ago. Took 5th place in the world, which isn't so bad for an old man.
I feel like you're checking the box on everything you want to do.
Trying. But then my son Gavin, he's a hockey player, high-level hockey player, had some injuries, and I wanted him to train with this trainer at the gym. His name was Brad Rowe. And, hey, can you train my son? He says, yeah. And then, like, a month into, Brad's like, hey, I see you used to be a bodybuilder when you were a teenager. You should get back into it. You got a nice structure. And I'm like, yeah. All right, let's do it. You know, we just did it. And I did the Mr. USA, and I won my division the first year, but I didn't win the overall. So I didn't get my pro card. I did it the next year, and I won. I got my pro card. I turned pro in 2 years. And then did like 3 pro shows, took 5th place in the Mexican pro show, did really well, beat a couple of Olympians, previous Olympians. I was like, damn, I kind of do this, you know, and kind of.
And you working out every day, or
pretty much?
Pretty much every day.
I take a day off if I have to, and then it comes naturally. It's like, oh, I can't work out tomorrow. I don't plan my days off. My days off just fall into me. Like, I got to fly to New York. Okay, I'm not working out tomorrow. Like that.
Well, next time I'm in LA, I'm coming to get a workout.
Let's do it.
I'm coming to get a workout in. Yeah. So I'm always interested in this because I think a lot of people said it. I've said it. I'm still saying it. When I get rich, ... Was that something that when you got a lot of money that you're like, I'm going to buy this, or I'm going to buy these things, or where there's money came along the way? Do you look back now and say, on your first purchase, I shouldn't have bought that, or I earned that?
So, you know, it's interesting. It's a really interesting question. I think when I bought a Lamborghini, that was the first, like, wow, this is like, that's my car. Like, you sit and have that Aventador sit in my garage, like, but the problem is the car drives like dog shit. It's so shitty. It is the biggest piece of shit on earth. I'm not kidding you. Anyone that has a Lamborghini, if you say, hey, how's that thing drive? They'll be, if they're really honest, they'll be like, this thing's dog shit. It literally feels like it's like, it's just so uncomfortable. It is not a daily driver. And I got rid of it.
Well, I won't be getting a Lamborghini.
I literally, but I just got a Ferrari coming today. Because Ferraris, they drive beautifully. They really do. I mean, there's something super sexy about a Lamborghini. It looks like a freaking spaceship. I mean, those doors pop open. It's just cool. It's just sexy as it gets. But man, it is shit. You know. So, but my Ferrari's pretty sexy.
Which we can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it gets you, is it?
And with being so successful in so many ways, are there other things you're involved in? We know you're doing bodybuilding. You're doing this practice here. Are you investing in other ways?
You know, it's interesting because with my exposure to so many different patients, I get offered opportunities all the time. You know, recently a music manager offered me an investment into a group of Christmas songs, a particular vocalist. Say, hey, you want to put some money behind this from a marketing standpoint? It's 3 Christmas songs. Here are the songs. We want to do it under this label. You want to market it here. You put in the X amount of dollars, you get your money back within 6 months, and then we believe that you get your money repeated back at you every year for 10, 15 years. That's an interesting opportunity. You know, not a lot of people get that opportunity put in front of them to like get your money back 10 times every year. If I listened to the songs, they didn't really hit me. You know, I didn't feel like the songs were. You know, sometimes you hear a song, you're like, that's gonna be a hit. I didn't get that. I didn't get that feeling. So I said, you know, I don't feel it, so I'm gonna pass. But so I'm involved in different little things here and there. Very interesting businesses. Some fitness stuff, some tattoo stuff. I've learned the hard way over the years.
Right.
Because sometimes no is the right answer. Yeah. Because it's a lot of money. It's easy. A lot of businesses fail. And unless it's really bulletproof or there's not a whole lot of money invested behind it, I'm just not interested in it. You know, we have people come to me and say, "Hey, we have this great idea. We're gonna develop these clothing line that's gonna go here and do this." And like, it's too many moving parts. Yeah. You know, one of the businesses that I'm kind of excited about is we have this fine art tattoo business, and the concept behind it is to license fine art tattooing. For example. We went to the Andy Warhol estate, and we said we would like to take a 3x3 piece of Andy Warhol's art. You guys pick it, and we're going to number them 1 to 10, and we'll have an NFT to secure it, and we're going to auction them off as skin art. That's an asset. So you get the tattoo. Right. If you have it removed or if you die, you can sell it. But an NFT authenticates it, which is what NFTs were originally meant for. The NFTs were never meant to be sold as in it. It was meant to be a digital certificate of authenticity that nobody could copy. Right. And the concept was to go to Christie's auction house, the first ever skin canvas auction, and our goal was to raise $40 million in the first offering. Wow. 10 tattoos for $40 million. And Christie's kind of reached out and felt the market out a little bit, and they did find a buyer that was interested in buying all 10 of them. Wow. So that business is still living. And we're negotiating with multiple artists. But the concept is really, if you look at the investment required to run that business, it's just a little bit of manpower.
Yeah. So when did anesthesia come in play when you and Ganga started working together, when you take patients and you kind of knock out this 2-in-1 thing?
So the brainchild behind that is Odell. Really? Odell, yes. Odell deserves the credit. Odell was getting some dentistry done and was like, I'm under. Can you just
do it all at once?
Can you tattoo me while I'm under? I don't see why not. So my anesthesiologist, Mitch, brought him out, put him to sleep, did it. And like, that was great. And so post, he happened to be in the next week. I called him up. I said, "Hey, listen to what we did." He's like, his exact words were, "Fuck yeah, let's do it."
Sounds so effective.
Fuck yeah, let's do it. And so we did. We put him to sleep, and we did a tattoo. In fact, I think it's the tattoo on his right pec right there, right in the whole chest right there. It's there's like his left pec. Right. It's like a black demon type thing. Oh yeah, like smoke coming up in smoke. And he woke up. He's like, "Wow, that was great." And like, wow, this is really something. It was really cool, you know. And then like we had a couple of patients come in. We did a tattoo, $5,000, whatever. And then I can remember Odell being like, "Yo, can we do my whole body while I'm sleeping and touch everything up?" I was like, I don't see why not. So we ran 8 artists at once while he was sleeping. Wow. And that changed it right there. That was it. It was lights out. Then it was like, boom, chest pieces, legs, whole bodies, flip them over, full backs. Then it was like, then we weren't even doing dentistry. It was just like, just anesthesia. And then it was crazy. We did Uzi's front, we did Uzi's back, we did money bags, whole body. We had Rich the Kid in there. We had, it was just went on and on and on. It was just like, and it's still to this day. What's happened is the business is fragmented now. You know, we used to live in this facility and only in this facility, now lives all over the country. Right. You know, I just was talking to you in the room about the New Hampshire Center for whatever, sedation tattoos. I mean, they're popping up everywhere. Right. It's the new thing, and it's great. I mean, we started it, period.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
So for my last question, even for myself, looking around the room, talking to you, doing my research, you're very successful. I've said that plenty of times.
I appreciate you saying that. I've worked very hard. Yes,
how does someone like myself and others watching, what advice do you have? Like, do you have for us trying to be successful, taking a risk? What is your your one-liner to that?
Relentless pursuit of your goals. Relentless. Like, you can't give up. Like, even when the shit is so bad, like, how am I going to pay these bills? How? keep chugging.
Keep going hard. Yeah.
It comes. Just gotta stick at it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you look back, like you talk to, like, I can remember points you're like, oh my God, how are we gonna make out of this month?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how are we gonna pay these bills? How are we gonna, we just built this thing and we did this, and and like I can't get this sold, I can't do this, and because it's so much easier to be a regular dental practice. Mm-hmm. It's like we do root canals, we do filling, we do anything you need to do,
right?
Because we need money.
Right,
we'll do anything. It's hard to be like, no, we are only doing this, or we're going under. Yeah. And because that shit takes up the time that you should be spending building that. Mm-hmm. And so instead of building the business you want, you get distracted doing the stuff you don't want, and that becomes your profession. Mm. Whereas if you're like, okay, we're not busy today, let's figure out how to get busy. I can remember sitting in this practice and saying to myself, we need to get Post Malone in this practice. Mm. And like, who knows his manager? We had this conversation. We laugh about it to this day. Yeah. Like, nobody knows his manager. I'm like, who's his manager? And all of a sudden I called my friend Chase Benjamin. I'm like, do you know Post Malone's manager? He says, yeah, it's Dre London. Like, can you know his number? I'm like, yeah, give me his number. And I called Dre London. I'm like, hey, Dre. He's like, what's up? You're Dr. Connelly. I'm like, yeah, you worked on Odell. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I want to do post-DC. He's like, yeah, you and everybody else.
Wow.
He goes, I'll let you know when he needs it. I'll let you know when he needs it done. That was my conversation. 60 days later, 70 days later, a month or two later, they signed a new artist named Tyler Yahweh. Mm-hmm. And I remember finding pictures of Tyler online and zooming into his mouth. Like, what do his teeth look like? Look like shit. Dre, I'll do Tyler's teeth for free if you introduce me to Posty. He's like, hell yeah. Got Tyler in here. It was a disaster. Cost me $50,000 to fix his mouth of my own money. I said, Tyler, when I'm done with you, you're going to take me to the concert. Right, introduce his Posty. He's like, bro, whatever you need. Right. He was his opening act. He toured with him for 2 years. Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Done.
That's awesome. So
we did it.
Yeah.
That wasn't no mistake. Mm-hmm. We made that shit happen.
You made it happen.
And I could go on and on about, like, we're getting that guy because he needs it. Yeah. And I know I can help him, and because we do such good work. I'm like, dude, just give me a chance. Let me do it. So when you have the skills, you've spent like 2 decades building the skills. Mm-hmm. You're like, give me my patience. Right. Sometimes you gotta go get it.
I mean, that inspires me to the core. 100%. That inspires me.
It's a 100% true story. Yeah. There's not one thing. There's not one. I can remember walking to Madison Square Garden and being in the green room. Like, I hadn't even met Post yet. It was like Tyga, Wyclef, a model, St. John, like 5 huge rappers. I never met these guys. And there was all these rich kids that were like related to the Dolans and famous models. And these people backstage, and I'm like, Isaac, man, I feel so out of place back here. Like, shit. And then Dre London goes, Posty's like, what the fuck are all these people back here? I don't know half these fucking people. And I'm like, this is on me. And so he's like, where the fuck's my manager? And so Dre comes and like, what's up, bro? He's like, what the fuck are all these people? This is my green room. This is the time where I chill out before I go on stage. And all these people in this room ask me for pictures and stuff. He goes, this is not what I hired you for. Right. And so Dre goes like, all right, everybody in this room that doesn't belong in this room, get the fuck out of here right now. Yeah. And there's like this mass exodus. I'm standing next to Isaac. I'm like, do we leave? Do we stay? He doesn't know us. Right. He's like, we stay. This Isaac's my jeweler, my diamond cutter. He had a relation with Post. Right. So he's like, we stay. So we stayed. And that's kind of where it all happened. Like, it was real. I mean, it was like, that's a story in itself. That's a movie. Yeah. But Posty's changed my life. Like, I hug him. I'm like, bro, you changed my life. I say the same thing to Odell. Like, without those 2 guys, they're like my blood. You know? Like I said to Odell, man, anything you need, I'm your guy. So you said, like I said, if shit ain't good, make it happen. Fortune favors the brave. You got to go out there and get it. Yeah. I don't see enough people that are willing to take those chances. I really don't. And I don't know if that's a generational thing or just the people I'm around, but like, there's so many things that they say power of manifestation. That's such a big thing floating around. I manifest that I'm going to get this purse. Like we're the most ridiculous thing. Right. No, go get it. Gotta go get it.
What better way to end it that way?
Yeah, right.
So we're gonna play a quick game, quick biz, real quick.
Let's do it.
You're gonna pick either or. And then you just answer to the best of your ability.
Okay.
Rent or own?
It's the same thing.
Okay.
It really is. I mean, it's weird if you look at the economics of certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with rent.
Rent, okay.
I'm just gonna buy the part I want to use.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the whole thing. I change my mind too often.
I would have said own, but I don't know. Again, I'm not at your position yet, so
I want to be able to get in and out of stuff.
Yeah,
I move around a lot.
I get what
I
you're
like
saying.
change. I like new stuff.
Yeah.
Like my cars, they're all leased. I get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
I don't want that anymore. I'm just want that one. I want that one. I want that one. Take it back. I mean, you end up spending the same money at the end of the day.
Right.
It really does. I'm running homes, buying homes. That's different. We're talking about like property, investments. I mean, if you're talking about that, obviously own,
right.
but not today because the interest rates are retarded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. There's different ways you create wealth with buying.
Right.
But it depends what we're talking about.
Okay. Failure or success?
Success.
I asked somebody the other day. They said failure, and I asked why.
But you said like, failure?
Failure or success?
Success.
Then somebody said failure because it's like, oh, that's the best way you learn.
Well, listen, one doesn't come without the other.
Right.
I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
If you talk to somebody and all they have is successes in their life, you're like, you're a liar.
Yeah.
If I can sit here and list off my failures.
Right.
But always the greatest question that I've ever been asked is, have you ever what does it feel like to make the wrong decision? Mm-hmm. Do you know what it feels like?
To make the wrong decision?
Yeah. When you made the decision, you thought it was the right decision.
Right.
So it feels the same.
Yeah. Right.
It's only later on you find out it was the wrong decision. You're like, wait a second, I remember when I made that decision. I thought that was the right decision.
Right.
And it was wrong.
Yeah.
So that's why you have a boardroom of people, like successful companies have 20 people, like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Okay, most people think that we're going to do this, so you go with the consensus. Mm-hmm. Because making the wrong decision feels like making the right decision. Failures breed successes as long as you learn from them.
Right, okay. Do you believe it's better to provide a product or service? Service.
Yeah, you control it better.
Gotcha.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's harder to scale service, but products nowadays, oh man, I've sold products before. Yeah. Retail is tough business, tough to make money.
Scalability or stability?
Stability. Scalability is a different human. Yeah. I have no desire to scale this business. I like it small, niche, private, small, quality. That's me. I'm not a scale guy.
Yeah. Okay, my last question, and I'm going to ask a lot of people this who work out, which I already know what you're going to say. CrossFit or bodybuilding?
Bodybuilding. CrossFit. My experience with CrossFit is it's just based on my experience, and I'm sure it's not what everybody would say, tends to spur a lot of injury. And I see people throwing things around, jerking this, doing that. They have no business doing that. And orthopedic surgeons love it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they're pulling. I'm sitting here with knee surgery, but this is 28 years of beating the crap out of this knee after a wrestling injury.
Right. So before I wrap up, I want to ask you this. What is next for Dr. Connelly? What is next for you in the next 5 years? What can I expect the audience can expect from you in the next 5 years?
I think what you see is me transitioning more into a life coaching position. I think that, the dentistry comes very naturally to me. I'm not really in a position to teach the profession on how I do my things quite just yet.
Right.
Because I'm still kind of squeezing that cloth and trying to make some money doing that. We invested a lot of time and money into the R&D, and we're still we've made it back, but it's time to get paid. So I'm not ready to teach all my competitors on what I do differently, I'm still going to be doing that. But I think that there's a position for me to, this interview spurs it, as part of it is teaching young men how to be men and how to be businessmen, how to be in shape and eat right and work out and be a true masculine role model for other men and, good quality, clean living.
Right.
Being a master at your craft.
Right.
Really striving to be excellent. And not make a quick buck, and to focus on human interaction. And it all boils down to that at the end. It's whoever figures out the fastest reaps the most benefits. That human relationship You know, you see, you get emotional so easily, but it's a big part of this practice. It sounds so crazy, but it really, like you say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and it couldn't be more true in this profession. You know, we have dentists visit.
I can see that. Yeah.
When dentists visit here, when I maybe had 20 dentists visit where I made them pay $5,000 a day. That was kind of like me giving back because so many people ask, and so I was like, no, like fine. We'll open up 20 slots. It's $5,000 a person, and boom, they sold the second. And then I had to do the work. Right. Oh, we got John Smith today from Houston. I'm like, oh, jeez, this guy's gonna ask me a million questions. right. But as much as I hate it, once they get in and I meet the person, I love it. Right. I do. I'm like, they're like my buddy for life. And I'm like, whoa, what's up? Like, how'd that case turn out? They just become. And I had a case like down in Austin. Like I needed somebody to get impression. Like, bro, this patient lives in Austin. Can you take impression? Like, of course. Right. But what I was getting at was, let's go with that. What are we talking about?
We're talking about a lot, right? No, I was just asking what's next for you in the 5 years.
Oh, consulting. Yeah, you know, really teaching people on how to, not just dentists. You know, I mean, I think that, you know, I built an 8-figure business here. You know, and that's not common in dentistry. You know, dental practice don't do greater than $10 million in sales a year. It just doesn't happen. You know, we're killing it. You know, because the cost of goods are so high, but we still do. We have very nice profits here as well. But you know, the skills and the mindset and the ethic that was required to build this translates into any business, and that is, you know, bleed with me, with my staff and your employees. Bleed with me, and you'll feast with me, and that's the only way to do it. You know, you can pay people and fire them and pay them as little as possible. You'll never get there.
Right. Well, I want to say I didn't know what to expect before this interview, and I'm telling you now, this means so much to me that you came here, talk with me. I learned a lot. I'm going to stay in touch with you. I'm pretty sure I'm going to learn a lot. You've inspired me in so many ways.
My pleasure.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
My pleasure.
I certainly do. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Dr. Connelly, everybody. And this has been this interview.
There's a blessing coming on the way. Mama, stay strong. I'm gonna get you off this Section 8. When I was young, she used to boost to make sure we were straight.